Now, the rate of technological change is accelerating and the range of options is increasing. But we do need to learn and demonstrate, because it's the practical experience, the data in use, which will ensure the changes needed are delivered. One of the big tools is going to be building regulations. It's taken a long time, I have to say, to get building regulations devolved to the Assembly Government. I'm not sure that it was my sort of final intention to go and sit on the lawn outside Westminster until they gave it to me, that delivered it, but we have got building regulations devolved to Wales. They formally come over at the end of next year, and therefore there will be a consultation in 2012 on a 55% improvement on 2006 standards, which will be 24% better than our current expectations that are in from now, as set by our new planning policy that started this month. And that's a major first step. But if we are to further reduce energy demand and embed sustainability, we need to look at the different approaches and build the experience that the industry needs for them to be effective. So issues of consumer behaviour and responsibilities, increased reliance on sophisticated building systems, all require investigation and demonstration if they are to be accepted, and crucially, if they are to work. Actually, I just say, in the last few months, I have seen 4 or 5 heat exchange units that are not on. And I think, in a sense, as we move into a new type of agenda, people need to be appropriately educated as to how they're going to use new types of technology. Now, great in the context of the work that's been going on here. We've got a lot of technology which has proven track benefits. Photovoltaic panels, we're increasingly seeing installed, the solar, hot water, the reduction in energy bills, the use in terms of photovoltaics for feed-in tariffs also provide a useful income. But we must, from the government perspective, we're trying to consider not only the energy in use, but the materials used, their impact on the natural environment, both in terms of extraction and manufacture and disposal at the end of their life. So we're tackling to start these wider issues as well, both through the Code for Sustainable Homes and BREEAM, the Building Research Establishment's environmental accreditation, but also through related policy areas. It's not also just about the obvious technology, whether or not in renewable energy you're using the wind or the sun or water, but it's also what happens under the ground as well. I mean, it's critically important that we move forward with sustainable urban drainage systems, about managing surface water drainage, helping to reduce flood risk and protect water quality. Rainwater harvesting systems like those being demonstrated this week are really good examples of such systems. Reduce demand on the drainage infrastructure, and water resources will have an important role to play in the future. I mean, it's quite extraordinary to think that in a country like Wales, we were pretty close at one point this year as to whether or not we had to declare a drought order in parts of Wales. They did have to declare one in Cumbria. We are in very, very different territory in terms of our natural resources. And every new house that we build places extra demand on drainage systems and water supplies, and systems which are in place are already struggling to cope. So if we can reuse the rainwater that falls, we can not only save the energy used to process and transport the water, but together with other sustainable drainage features, allow the land to take back the water that falls, as it does before buildings take place. Now, new responsibilities on local authorities in the context of sustainable urban drainage came forward in the flood and water management legislation, and so local authorities are looking at that now, as are developers. And I've no doubt that amongst the issues to be considered, sustainable technology will have a critically important role to play. And another area in which there's an increasingly important role is not just about what the product does and how it was created and how much energy and natural materials are used in its manufacture, but as I said, how we dispose of it, what happens at the end of its life. And we have a very ambitious waste strategy for Wales, which is really a resource strategy, not a waste strategy, towards zero waste, outlining a zero waste approach aimed at creating a high recycling society, diverting waste from landfill sites, leading to a culture of zero waste by 2050, i.e. nothing to landfill by then. And that strategy includes construction and demolition waste targets for 2019-20, and will be supported, for example, by a construction and demolition sector plan. And we're doing similar things in the context of the municipal sector that many of you will have heard about with our big municipal recycling targets of 70% by 2025. But waste has consequences beyond reducing demand on landfill, because the energy wasted in the production of materials left over from the building process that end up in landfill, the energy used in their disposal, how we recycle old buildings back into new buildings, are all becoming of increasing concern. And as we reduce the energy we consume in buildings towards zero carbon in use, the embedded energy of materials, the energy used to manufacture and transport them, then also becomes increasingly important. And I think it's interesting, I know that there are presentations later, both in terms of sheep's wool insulation and the work of Excel Industries and the recycled insulation warm cell. And I went to visit the factory to have a look at that. Reusing newspapers where today's news is tomorrow's loft insulation. I mean, we need to be creating those kinds of specific opportunities. And because education is so important about this, I was delighted earlier in the year to open the new WISE Centre, the Wales Institute for Sustainable Education, at the Alternative Technology Centre in Machynlleth. And that's a real opportunity for theory into practice, because the building itself, low embodied energy, using materials such as earth and hemp, the design and construction, the environmental impact was monitored at every stage of construction to reflect the principle of practical demonstration. And for all the students and professionals and tradespeople and interested lay people like me that attend courses at CAT and go and have a look, what better experience can there be that to be able to actually see the technologies in practice? And we know also that we need to very rapidly enhance opportunities for our Welsh businesses, particularly our small Welsh businesses, to be accredited through the Microgeneration Certification Scheme, which the UK government sees as part of the confidence that new technologies are properly installed. And I'm pleased that through the RBED programme, our retrofit programme, we're already being able to use renewable technologies there. And as the technologies are accredited and come forward, we're able to use them in government schemes and therefore also help in the demonstration. And we're providing, and I think people here will probably know this already, but we're providing loans to help people get accredited under the Microgeneration Certification Scheme, and the only part of the UK to do so. But we also have what I used to call my coalition of the willing. Actually, they weren't very willing, some of them. But the coalition of the willing was bringing together people in the construction industry and others to support the Wales Low Zero Carbon Hub, to actually look at how we can take forward this agenda in a way that helps Welsh businesses get business across the border as well. Because if we're moving ahead of the game here, which we are, then there's a real economic opportunity for businesses ahead of the game to actually be able to utilise their skills in terms of getting contracts elsewhere. So the Wales Low Zero Carbon Hub is very important to us in terms of acting as a focal point for activity as we develop our policy, providing a solid evidence base to what we do, a conduit between government and industry, a sounding board and source of expert advice as we develop the policy to reduce emissions, but a major dissemination mechanism through seminars and workshops. And there's a sustainable building portal that some of you may find useful, which sits on the Constructing Excellence Wales website, so you can get further information about both what government's doing and the work the Zero Carbon Hub is doing as well. Now, I've focused very much today on what we're doing around the building agenda. I mean, there's a whole range of other things we're doing to support communities looking to change behaviour as well. But I tried to put a quick canter through the issues that, in a sense, I know you'll be addressing later, either through the presentations on insulation or through the work that Vicky will be taking you through as you go to visit examples locally in terms of demonstrations. And I hope that as a result of anybody here who has not made any of the efforts yet, if as a result of coming to an activity this week that you go back and take one effort in your own home in the context of that delivery, we will be moving the game forward. And we're trying to do as much as we can from the Assembly Government. And I think it's important organisations like Ymlaen Cardigan and others can help support that agenda as well. So thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn. And I'm very happy to take the number of questions that Aled will allow me to do, depending on your arrangements for the next stages of the day. Diolch yn fawr iawn.